For a kid, that line between movie magic and real life, it can get, well, dangerously blurry. So what happens when the heroes they see on screen inspire them to take some really impossible risks? Well, we're about to dive into a story that shows just how thin that line can be.
Imagination is basically the engine of childhood, right? But what happens when that engine is getting its fuel from superheroes, the ones who just laugh at the laws of physics? Well, that's exactly when a kid's fantasy can turn into a real-world danger.
And this is pretty much where our story kicks off. At first glance, it sounds like totally innocent playground chatter, right? But if you listen a little closer, you can hear it. It's a belief starting to take root. This idea that the impossible stuff they see on screen isn't just cool to watch, but it's something they can actually do.
All right, so let's meet our main characters, Ansh and Vanshika. They were friends, both in the 3rd grade, and they were huge TV fans. But here's the thing. They didn't just watch their favorite shows. Oh no, they lived them. They brought all that on-screen action right into their playtime.
See, for Ansh and Vanshika, there was really no filter. That super vibrant, action-packed world they saw on TV, that wasn't make-believe to them. Not at all. It was a world just full of possibilities, where heroes did all these incredible stunts, and they were absolutely convinced they could do them too.
So, as you can probably guess, this admiration didn't just stay as admiration. It started to build into a really concrete and really dangerous plan. And it all kicked off one day. Just a simple conversation about a movie they'd both just watched. And their logic, you have to understand, was so simple and, in their minds, completely flawless. Ansh gets all excited and tells Vanshika, "Hey, I saw Spider-Man climb a whole wall with just one thread." And Vanshika jumps right in. "Yeah, and then he jumped off and nothing even happened to him." So in their heads, the equation was super simple. If Spider-Man can do it, why can't we?
So the plan they came up with was incredibly straightforward, and from where they were standing, pretty much foolproof. Step 1, Ansh brings a rope from his house. Step 2, they find a nice high wall at school. Step 3, tie the rope to the roof and, well, climb up, just like their hero.
And this, right here, is the exact moment where their perfectly logical, movie-inspired plan is about to collide with the hard, unforgiving laws of the real world. Okay, so fast forward to the next morning. While every other kid is at the morning prayer assembly, Ansh and Vanshika sneak off to put their plan into action. They find the perfect wall, they manage to get up to the roof, and they tie on their thin little rope. Vanshika tries to go first, but she just can't get a grip. Can't pull herself up at all. So Ansh says something like, "You can't do it, let me try." And he grabs the rope and starts to pull himself up.
Right. So in the movies, a single strand of spiderwebbing can stop a moving train, no problem. But here, in reality, that thin rope Ansh brought from home, it was never ever designed for something like this. And with a sharp crack, it just snapped.
Now you'd think that would be the end of it, right? Failed plan, snapped rope, game over. But for Ansh, this was just a minor setback, and his reaction really shows you just how deep this belief went. His thinking was, okay, so what if we can't climb like Spider-Man? We can still jump from the roof like him. And honestly, this is the truly terrifying part, when one failed fantasy just gets immediately replaced by an even more dangerous one. So, completely undeterred, they went right back up to the roof. They walked over to the edge, ready to take a literal leap of faith. A faith that was born entirely from what they'd seen on TV.
But just as they were getting ready to jump, a voice just cuts through the air. Their plan got interrupted by the one person who could actually explain the truth about what they'd been watching.
Luckily, their teacher happened to spot them from a distance. Her shout startled them, and they immediately stepped back from the edge, just in the nick of time. Of course, she rushes over, totally confused and alarmed, asking them what in the world they thought they were doing. And their explanation to her was just so perfectly innocent. See, in their minds, they weren't being naughty or disobedient. They were being superheroes. They genuinely believed that, just like Spider-Man, they could jump from that roof and just walk away completely fine. And in that moment, the teacher realized this wasn't really a discipline issue. Oh no, this was a teaching moment, a chance for a really critical lesson, a lesson about the very nature of the TV shows and movies we all watch.
So she had to explain a concept they had probably never even thought about before, that the stuff they were seeing on screen wasn't actually real. She had to define what entertainment even is, that it's something created, something artificial, and it's designed to be watched, not copied.
Her lesson was incredibly direct, and it had to be. She laid it out for them. What you see on TV isn't always real. A lot of it is totally artificial. It's fake. It's only created for us to enjoy. And then she hit the most crucial point of all. We must never try to imitate these things in real life. And just like that, for Ansh and Vanshika, that light bulb went on. The distinction was finally clear. They apologized to their teacher. They promised they understood just how dangerous it was, and that they would never, ever make that mistake again. They had finally learned the real truth about TV.
So, what's the bigger picture here? The story of Ansh and Vanshika, it's more than just a close call. It's kind of like a modern fable, and it points to a really critical vulnerability we all need to think about. I mean, we live in this age where we're just saturated with screens, right? And a kid's mind is still developing, still figuring out how to separate what's real from what's not. And they're constantly seeing this super polished, hyper-real entertainment. Now, this isn't about blaming movies or TV, not at all. It's about understanding that a gap can form, a gap between what's seen and what's understood.
And that leaves us with one final and I think really important question. In this story, a teacher was there at just the right moment to bridge that gap between fantasy and reality. But in our day-to-day lives, where screens are absolutely everywhere and content is just being consumed constantly, who plays that role? In a world so full of screens, who is the teacher? It's definitely something to think about.